You got a beef with me, you come to me, I'll straighten it out with you. I ain't afraid of nobody. I got a neighbor who constantly comes over and wants to bullshit with me like he's my best friend. And, you know, I'm like, this poor guy has no idea.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't realize that I'm keeping an arm's length from him. I deal with all 5 families. I made millions of dollars. When they go to war, he says, you just step aside and let them kill each other. That's when the FBI started to comb through my records and go to everyone I ever really contacted in my life. They were determined to get me. They surrounded my house, bulletproof vest, machine guns.
Right.
There was no way out of the house. You're an animal. He says, you're in a cage. He goes, you're fed through a food slot like an animal at the zoo.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Now, let me tell you what I know about you. Your name's Louis Ferrante, and you're a member of the Mafia.
I was.
You were a member of the Mafia?
Yeah, not anymore.
Okay, right. Can I, maybe a really stupid question to start off with, but for those people who don't know, and I'm putting my hands in the air and saying I don't know to a point, what is and what was the Mafia?
What it is today, I think is a lot different than what it was yesterday.
Right.
When I was growing up, it was something that was revered. You know, you wanted to be part of it, which I think a lot of still kids in the inner city probably aspire to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. But it was a lot different when I was younger. Now, I think they've become a lot greedier. The crimes that I read about in the newspapers have changed.
But what is the point of the Mafia? Why was it formed in the first place?
It was formed first when the Italians came to America, talking about the Italian-American Mafia, which is the only mafia I know about.
Right.
They formed it to have like a sort of inner group to protect the Italians and take off the Italians too at the same time.
Right.
But they felt like they were getting shafted by all the Irish cops. Most of the Irish that migrated to New York became policemen, and then the Irish controlled the police force. The Italians didn't know who to go to for justice, and the Italians felt like they were kind of like shafted even by the WASP government. And they started to form this group.
So they were victimized and put into a corner.
They felt victimized. I don't know how actual the victimization was, but it was enough for them to complain that they were victimized.
Right.
You know, like every other immigrant group, I guess, that comes over and gets a bad rap in the beginning, the Italians had it that way too.
So is it something you're born into? I mean, was it your family a part of the Mafia and that was that, or what?
Well, no. When I grew up, a lot of people under the impression that you got to be from that to be in it, which 90% of the guys I was around had roots in the Mafia. They were either their father was a mafioso, or their uncle, or their cousin, or their grandfather. Usually it's a family business where they bring their young in.
Right.
Also me, in my case, and many others too, maybe 10, 20%, whatever the average might be, come up on their own. No nepotism. You just make your bones. You go out on the street. I was involved in criminal activity from when I was a kid. So
Make your bones.
Make your bones. You get a name for yourself. You get a reputation. You go through some hard times sometimes. You take a pinch maybe. Go in for a lineup. I was hijacking trucks. I was a hijacker. So I was taking my loads to a fence.
Right, well, let's just talk about this. So let's go back to chronologically work through your life, because it's fascinating. I want to know how you ended up, working your way right up to senior ranks.
As a kid, I started stealing anything that wasn't tied down. Me and my friends. Mischievous. It started out as we'd steal a car for a joyride.
Right.
Next thing you know, my friend's uncle owns a body shop, and he says, "Hey, when you're done driving this, drive it by the shop. I need the nose and the fender. I need the nose. I'm sorry, and the tail." The bumper. Sure, no problem. We dropped the car off. Next thing you know, he gives us a list.
How old were you at this stage?
Oh, I was a teenager. I didn't even have a license yet, and I was driving a car.
And did your parents know you were into this?
My mother was a lot more hands-on than my father. She was a lot sharper too, and she used to cry to me and plead with me. What are you doing? Don't get in trouble. Your father was a law-abiding man. Don't do this to us. Because she probably knew, because her family was all crooked. My mother's family, My grandfather, he took numbers. My uncle did time in jail for hijacking.
Right.
On my mother's side, my mother was a saint, but she wanted to be unlike her family.
Right. Okay.
She strove.
She'd had enough of it.
She had enough of it. She kind of saw it in me as a kid, and she'd fight and plead with me. But I'd say, "Ma, leave me alone. And I'm not getting in trouble. I know what I'm doing. We're just kidding around. We're just, just my friends, and whatever."
But did she know what you were up to? Did she know you were jacking trucks?
Never really. And my mother. The sad thing is, my mother went to her grave. My mother died when she was young. She was only 47 when she got sick and died. I was 20.
Right.
And by then I was hijacking. And I was already, people were taking notice of me in the family, in the mob. And she went to her grave thinking there's something wrong, but really couldn't put a finger on it. I went in for a lineup.
Right.
The closest I came to a brush with the law, I was getting away with a lot of stuff. I was always getting lucky. And eventually your luck runs out. But the closest I came was, I got a phone call while my mother was sick. And detective said, "You got to come in for a lineup tomorrow." It was an assault. I walked into a bar, and this guy owed me money. He owned the place. I lent the money to start the bar up.
Right.
And these couple of guys, there was 2 guys, looked like they would just got off of work, and they had work boots on, dirty hands. May have been roofers or construction workers.
Yeah.
And they were throwing pretzels at the older crowd. It was an older crowd during the day.
Right.
The old crowd that cashes their pension checks and drinks at the bar all day.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, I said, hey buddy, why don't you stop? The main bully.
That's what you said to them.
Yeah, I said, hey buddy, why don't you stop? You're ruining everybody's day. Take it easy. He said, stop throwing the pretzels. He says, how about I bend you like a fucking pretzel?
Is that what he said to you?
Yeah, and this guy was a big guy. The guy's a big. I'm sitting there looking up at him like, oh shit. I was just hoping that. So he says, you want to go outside? I said, sure. Well, I had a Lincoln outside parked out front. I had a 45 automatic under the seat. I don't want to kill the guy, but I definitely ain't fighting him fair. This guy will bend me like a pretzel. He's 6'2", 280 pounds. What am I going to do? He can hold my head like this, and I'm swinging. So I grabbed the baseball bat, and I gave him another chance. I stepped off the curb, and I said, hey, buddy, I said, listen, I'm going to fight you with a bat. I ain't fighting fair. And he says, I'm going to stick that bat up your ass. Bang, I hit him like Joe DiMaggio.
Right.
And he went for a loop. Got called, the detectives called me up for a lineup. My mother was sick. He went airborne.
Right.
Yeah, I thought I killed him.
Right.
The guy was just laid out. I says, I killed him, shit. I threw the bat in the trunk, took off. Ended up, he lived. I think he may have been in a slight coma, or no such thing as a slight coma. May have been in a coma for a week, came out of it. About a month later, detectives finally
Did you care?
I beat the lineup, by the way.
You beat the lineup?
I beat the lineup, lucky again, thank God. But eventually my whole career, my criminal career caught up to me.
Well, I want to get to all that stuff, but I'm building up an impression of you as a kid. You seem just like a...
wild, tough kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, wild, tough kid. I might have had a little bit of a Napoleon complex.
Right.
Plus a lot of testosterone running through my blood.
Were you weight training? Were you a big guy?
I started to weight train when I went to prison. By the time I went to prison, I was probably 200 pounds solid as a rock at my height. In prison, there's pictures of me on my website, louisferrante.com.
Yeah.
Pictures of me that I took in prison, ripped to shreds. I look like Mr. America.
Yeah.
So I was a tough kid. I was big.
Yeah. What did you want then? What was driving you? I mean, all right, there's the whole robbing things and getting the money, but was it respect you wanted?
In my neighborhood, it wasn't a bad thing.
Right.
It was a bad thing to be a dirty criminal. Somebody who steals a pocketbook or robs a house.
Right.
But to be in with those, with the guys, the wise guys, or to be a criminal where you steal, you rob a truck, you hijack a truck, or you knock off a business.
Yeah.
But you look out for the people in your neighborhood.
Right.
That was respected in my neighborhood. So I grew up with this impression that if I'm a big criminal and not a small one, I'm going to garner respect. I'm going to have everybody, bowing to me, which is inevitably what happened.
Yeah. When you look back at it now and you didn't know about the mafia and the way they work because you were young, if you think back now, can you remember, that place must have been mobbed, that must have been mobbed, was it all around you?
When I got in with the mob, I started to realize that plenty of restaurants, the supermarket in my neighborhood that my mother shopped at from when I was a kid, from when she was pushing me in the cart, and I was kicking with my baby shoes, was a capo in my family.
Was a what?
A capo, a captain, in my Borgata, my family.
Can you tell me about the structure of it so that